Okay, guys, hear me out. Hear me out. Okay. Let's have a think. Let's have a think about this. Let me paint this picture for you. Okay. Valtteri Bottas at Red Bull. I know what you're thinking, Peter. What have you been smoking? Listen, nothing but the Holy Ghost fire. But listen, the reason I bring this up simply because Red Bull has had a lot going on in 2024. And you know what? 2025 needs to be a nice, calm year. They need a calm year, for goodness sake. All right. And they're on the verge of losing their Constructors' Championship to McLaren this season at the end of the 2024 season, right? So I'm thinking about next season. I'm thinking, look, Perez hasn't been pulling up trees. And I'm a big Sergio Perez guy. Believe me, I do like Sergio Perez. Glad when he got the Red Bull seat when he did, because him not being in Formula One would have been an absolute scandal. But when you look at his time at Red Bull, maybe after the first season, hasn't really been saying much, okay? Not much has been going well for that man and for Red Bull for that matter, okay? And as much as I'm not thinking like Bottas would be a challenger for Max Verstappen, what Red Bull want is a good wingman, okay? And let me tell you something right now. Valtteri Bottas was the greatest wingman of all time for Mercedes, okay? Nowhere near Lewis Hamilton's level, but was always on that P2. If Hamilton was winning, Bottas was second. If Bottas wasn't second, he'd be on the podium. And sometimes Bottas would also win races because he was in a very, very good car. Right? Now, the Red Bull car is a good car as far as I'm concerned. It's a good car as far as I'm concerned. And what Sergio Perez has been doing in that Red Bull, my goodness. You know, the car is so good. Last year, Max Verstappen won the Constructors on his own. Okay? Never mind the Drivers' Championship. The Drivers' Championship was long gone. It was always his anyway. But, you know, when you think about it, I genuinely think that Bottas could be the right fit for Red Bull, especially with everything that they've been going through. He could be the perfect wingman for Max Verstappen going into 2025 and cementing that Constructors' Championship, first and foremost, but also giving an assist, a bit of a boost, you know, something for Max Verstappen to worry about less when it came to the other drivers. Because far too often, Max Verstappen now is having to fight two McLaren drivers, having to fight a Ferrari driver or a Mercedes driver. Like, too much fighting on his own. And Checo, we can't find Sergio Perez when Max Verstappen needs that assist, needs that help. Okay, so Valtteri Bottas for me, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Yeah, when he was in that Mercedes, he was finishing on the podium at least like 50% of the time. Sergio Perez is barely making 40%, right? I think it's like 35, 36%. I read somewhere. So Sergio Perez isn't really the one that I would be sort of banking on doing exceedingly well next year. Not in my opinion. Not in my opinion. I think Valtteri Bottas, you know, you might be arguing, well, Pete, what's the point taking out Perez for Bottas? Like, how does that make any sense? It makes sense based on what I've seen Bottas do when he was at Mercedes. Now, that last year at Mercedes, okay, where Verstappen won the title in 2021, right? Bottas was nowhere to be found. Fine, you know, final nail in the coffin. But I just think because he was going through stuff, you know, he was going through things mentally, if you will. The way that the Mercedes situation kind of ended. Do you know what I mean? Like, it kind of makes sense, right? So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but when he's been a good servant at Mercedes. And the only real reason Mercedes actually pulled the trigger on Bottas was because George Russell was waiting. It was like a sizzling steak ready to be eaten, right? That was what he was there for. And if he wasn't there, I don't see Mercedes making a switch that quickly. And if anything, really, got to keep this quiet, but they may have ruined the whole situation at Mercedes by bringing in George Russell to challenge Lewis Hamilton. That's another conversation for another day. But bringing in George Russell against Lewis Hamilton, you know, they were now dealing with other things and things they didn't need to concern themselves with or worry about. But now here we are, okay? This is the situation that we are currently in. These are the circumstances that we are currently fighting under. So Valtteri Bottas, I think, would be a perfect fit because he would be a perfect wingman for Max Verstappen. That's the bottom line of it all. He would be a perfect man for Max Verstappen. And, you know, there'll be much more podium places, especially with that Red Bull, man. I just believe that Bottas, you know, even on a bad day, would be P4, P5 in that Red Bull. You know, like he was in his bad days at Mercedes. You know, it was a P7 or something like that, 6, 7. You know, and that was when he was tapped out. Like, that wasn't like, oh, I'm trying my best. You know, he got mentally hit hard when he was battling Lewis Hamilton, and he met an animal that was Lewis Hamilton. Okay, and that's that's not he didn't know probably what he was up against. Okay, those days at Williams when he was riding high, he probably got too gassed. And then joined Mercedes, and it was like, what the hell is this? Now, don't get me wrong. Bottas got his fair share of podiums, okay? And got his fair share of pole positions, rather. So even beating Hamilton over one lap pace, I think he had 30%, 30% sort of ratio against Lewis Hamilton, right? Now you can say, look, Hamilton done 70%. Yeah, fine. But he'd still got 30%. If there's 10 races, he's 10 qualifying laps. He still beat Lewis Hamilton 3 times out of that 10. And the thing is, it's not like it's a fluke or a one-off. 30% is a lot when you compare the seasons. They had about, I don't know, 3 or 4, 5 seasons together, right? What was he joined from 17, 18, 19, 20, 21? Yeah, 21 seasons. Sorry, 21 seasons, 5 seasons of qualifying rounds, right? Whereby he did 30%, he beat Hamilton. So there's a guy in there, there's a fast driver in there. He's won 10 Grand Prix. We cannot snigger at that. More race wins than Sergio Perez, more race wins than Daniel Ricciardo, which people are, love talking about, love raving about, So he's got multiple race wins, more than Charles Leclerc. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, he's no slouch. He's no slouch whatsoever. Valtteri Bottas would be a superb fit because I think he would obviously, like I said over and over again, perfect wingman. He'll be on the podium and he would cement Red Bull in the Constructors Championship. Facts. As long as their car is the best, as it has been in the last couple of years, if Bottas was in that Red Bull this season, Red Bull would win the Constructors Championship. And I'm a McLaren fan, by the way, loving that my car is the best car in the grid at this moment in time, okay? Right? Let's just see ourselves out these last couple of races, okay? And cement that Constructors Championship. But if you're Red Bull, I just sit there and think, I know they've got a driver program, a junior driver program. They've got RB, the Cash App team and whatever else. I get all of that. I get it. Don't get me wrong. But with the situation that they're currently in, the turmoil they're kind of in, it would have been Sergio Perez in an ideal world. And guess what? They've kept Sergio Perez on. Why? Because they want that stability. But I tell you what, Sergio Perez is very, very stable. But I tell you what is even more stable, which will take it to another level. And it's that man, Mr. Valtteri Bottas. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know you lot will not be happy with this one. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think there's a point that might be made? And I wonder if there's any other videos as well that have come out talking about this said thing. I'll be intrigued to see what's happening in the landscape of Formula One. Until next time, people, lights out.